But I think that being Pentecost, we're close enough to Easter that I think it carries.
I am the bread of life. You who come to me shall not hunger, and who believe in me shall not thirst. No one can come to me unless the Father beckons, and I will raise you up, and I will raise you up, and I will raise you up on the last day. The bread that I will give is my flesh for the life of the world. And if you eat of this bread, you shall live forever. You shall live forever. And I will raise you up. And I will raise you up, and I will raise you up on the last day. I am the resurrection. I am the life. If you believe in me, even though you die, you shall live forever, and I will raise you up, and I will raise you up, and I will raise you up on the last day. Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, who has come into the world, and I will raise you up, and I will raise you up, and I will raise you up on the last day, and I will raise you up, and I will raise you up, and I will raise you up on the last day.
So let's just say the Lord's Prayer. We don't have to. You want to get up, Ian? No, let's get up. Oh, we'll get up and we'll say the Lord's Prayer. There we go. Here comes one. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. Yes.
Okay, so Ian, I think we're at the last paragraph on page 26. Is that your sense of it? Or anyone else that remembers?
It's definitely page 26, mate. I think it's like that past that. I think it is halfway down, but as to the first statement, stated more outward concerns.
Yes, I'll just check that the reading is at the.
It's up there. Go and ask, mate. That's the same one.
That is the same one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After first date after death.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Well, then I don't mind starting the reading, and we'll move around. We'll go clockwise because I think Jackie's got a lovely voice. Our first state after death is like our state in this world, since we are then similarly involved in outward concerns. We have similar faces, voices, and character. We lead similar moral and civil lives. This is why it still seems to us as though we were in this world, unless we notice things that are out of the ordinary and remember that angels told us that we were spirits when we were awakened. So the one life carries on into the other, and death is only a passage. Wow, I think we could almost just explore that one paragraph for the rest of the day.
I remember Siobhan sharing with me, she said, just look around. If you see glowing edges, like around doors, if you see a glow there, you could be in the spiritual world.
You might have crossed
Right.
over.
You without, because everything will otherwise look the same.
Amazing, isn't it?
So, yeah, that's amazing how the same then it seems it would look. If all you're looking for is a glow to notice the difference.
Yes, I think a key to why that happens too, Ian, I'd love for you to jump in there, but it's because when we first cross over, unless you have had an extraordinary life of holiness, which is not going to be, most of us are not going to be there, but that's okay. We're on our path. But if you've had an extraordinary holy life, then you will just be very quickly introduced into your heavenly home in the heavens. Or if you've been a notoriously nefarious evil person, well, then you will find your home. But there's this soft transition in the spiritual world where my understanding is that all of our concerns in this life are still mirroring in the world around us, in the spiritual world, the corresponding mirror because of our concerns, because the Lord in his love and mercy says, well, I want it to be that way so you can continue to work through whatever is troubling you, whatever is still of a big concern. And I even like the way it says, we still have our similar faces.
Mm-hmm.
Because while Steve was here, I don't know if you got to meet Steve, but while Steve was here, Ian, I and Steve got into a fascinating conversation about how much will we change? And Ian, you were mentioning a passage you'd found that really just brought home that, we're there for eternity. So the changes are going to go on and on and on. And there will come a point where you won't recognize the self from this world to who you become there. People there will recognize you and know you, but the memories of who you thought you were in this world will not correlate. Is that right, Ian?
Yeah, well, think back to our childhood. We remember very little of it, but we are reminded of it if we look at the photograph.
Good as example. What a great example. Thinking back to your childhood, that's a great example.
Yeah, and we hardly remember our identity. Hello. We hardly remember our identity as a child, except if there's a reason for it to be.
We're using our
yeah, so if we can't go back into those memories anyhow and stay with them, because if we did, we wouldn't move forward.
No.
Dr. Noel, we've just started a very fascinating subject. I know that you'll find this intriguing. So I'll recap.
26.
Okay, I'll recap. I'll read the paragraph again. Page 26, last paragraph. Our first state after death. So it's our initial experience of crossing over. So soft, as you said, Jackie, we mightn't even know we've done it. It's so gentle, we may not even know we've crossed over. And the Lord prepares us for it because every day we wake up, and we don't even give too much thought to where we've been, unless your dreams are very strong in your thoughts. You might drift back to the dreams a little bit, but mostly we wake up and we just a new state, a new day, and we just move on, recognizing some of the things around us, not questioning what did happen over the last 8 hours, unless you're like me, sometimes lying there awake in the middle of the night. But I imagine it's like that, isn't it, Ian?
Yeah.
The crossing over can be so gentle. It's like waking up and you don't even think, have I even crossed over?
I do ask myself that 3 or 4 times a week. There's if it's quiet and I don't see people for a while, I might think, which world am I in?
Which world am I in? Wow.
That's awareness.
Even like if you think about a dream, like I had a dream the other night, and in the dream, I knew I was in the dream.
Yes.
So I'm going, remember, this is just a dream. And I'm going, okay. So I'm looking at a person walking past. I'm going, oh, that's just a dream. And I'm going, oh, but it feels so real, doesn't it? But when we move from that one place to the next, you know what I mean? It's like you can hardly remember that. Like I can remember being in the dream, but then coming back, moving out of that again.
You don't notice it.
No, you don't notice it. You know what I mean?
It's called lucid dreaming. In case you weren't aware, it's called lucid dreaming. And I've had a few of those, and it's like, wow, this is exciting.
I know.
I could fly if I wanted to right now, or I could climb
That's
a wall.
Another thing I do in dreams, I fly.
But then I found myself in the dream slipping.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, I'm slipping. I can feel I'm slipping in the sense of I'm losing a grip on the fact that I'm dreaming.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I went straight back into the unconscious dreaming.
Yeah.
And that really spoke to me. It's happened a couple of times. It spoke to me because, like you're saying, in your awareness, several times a week, we should be living, as spiritual people, we should be living this life going, it's a blessing, but it's a dream compared to eternity.
Yes. Yes, I think so.
But you're so real. The colours in that are so real.
Well, they were real in the dream, and I was dreaming too. I'm going, well, and I'm looking, is there another person coming? I'm going, looks like a real person, person had colours on, it's sort of like I'm analysing that I'm dreaming and reminding myself that I'm dreaming.
So the reverse happens too, I think, when we wake up. When you wake up in a dream, you've got it, you're aware, and then it slips and you start going back into the dream and it takes over.
Yes.
But when you wake up from death to life, it's the reverse, I believe. So, when you're laying there in a bed and you're really very observant of the dream you just had. So you're awake and it's a new day, but you're really still very caught up in the dream.
Yes.
I think that's what's happening in this paragraph here. Let's read it. Okay, our first state after death. It's like our state in this world, since we are then similarly involved in outward concerns. We have similar faces, voices, and character. We lead similar moral and civil lives. This is why it still seems to us as though we were in this world, unless we notice things that are out of the ordinary and remember that angels told us we were spirits when we were awakened. So the one life carries on into the other, and death is only a passage.
Yes.
That's such a wonderful thought.
Yeah.
A bit like you talk about dreaming, right? So one of the things that fascinates me when you dream is that all of a sudden you're in the dream, you're on a mountain, you're doing this, whatever, but you're just going along with it. It's like, yeah, this is normal. It's not like, hang on, how did I arrive here? It's like, oh yeah, I'm on a mountain. Oh, I'm in a battle.
Yeah.
All of a sudden I'm in a car, whatever. It's just like, oh yeah, okay. It's like, all of a sudden it's just there,
You're not questioning it, are you?
No, you're not. You got to just go along with it.
And you're not questioning how old you are or how you look a bit different or your age. Nothing.
Exactly. You keep going with that idea, but I do remember one dream where I was driving a car on the side of a wall. It was it. I'm driving on the side of the wall. Like, I don't know why I was driving a car on the side of the wall. But when I woke up...
You weren't in it.
Yeah, exactly. But when I woke up, I was amazed at why I didn't question that.
Yeah.
Which is what you keep going with your point, though.
Exactly. Well, that's actually the point is that when you transition, it's just kind of, we're here now, It's not on my house. Oh, no, it's not my house. Yeah, but it's my house. It's okay. No worries. All of a sudden, different things happening,
Yes.
But also the other point that I think is useful is that world of spirits, the intermediate world, is still a shared world, right?
Amen.
I'm into that. Although I think
and-
heaven's shared, but it's a very unique sharing.
Well, just like the natural world
Yes.
is shared with a wide variety of
Darkness
characters,
and light.
qualities, right?
Totally.
And therefore, the representation, the world around us reflects that. And so, in the world of spirits, immediately, it's also this shared
Very
world.
close. Yes.
You know, so
Yeah.
therefore, that shared environment is still created by the people in that world.
Yeah, well said.
You know, whereas progressively, as you move,
You
you're
will.
getting an environment that really reflects your quality because you're now in a community with people of like qualities.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Something else that anyone else can jump in, but something else I got from this passage here, just reading it, you know, the bit where he says, oh, that's right. Angels reminded me when I first woke up, you're a spirit.
So you did get told.
You get told, but the moment still captures you. That's what I got from it.
Yes.
And I think that, so if I think about what heaven could be like, and I think we've all had little tastes, I think about heaven could be like, I think it's going to be, we're going to be fluctuating between the absolute bliss of the moment, whatever the Lord's offering to you. It's so blissful and beautiful. Love shared, meal, conversations. You're just going to be in the ecstasy of the moment. And then a little awakening, like an angel saying, don't forget, you're a spirit now. Oh, I am. So I think it's going to be these, you know, for eternity, moments of awakening.
Yeah.
And then you can't help but bless God. And then you get caught up again in the ecstasy of the joy of the love that you're engaged in. And then again, another moment, oh, wow, isn't God incredible? And you see it in the book of Revelation where it says, you know, John's standing before the throne of God and the angels are flying around the throne of God. And it says, they're crying out, holy, holy, holy is the Lord. Well, we read it in a very static way. But those angels would be crying from the pit of their being, holy, because as they fly around God, that represents seeing something new about God. Yeah, we're going on, and so eternity, we're going to see something new in God. We're going to go, oh, isn't he wonderful? And then we'll get caught up again in the moment of what we're doing, and another, oh, isn't he wonderful? And like the angels, we will cry out, holy, holy, holy is the Lord. Quite a thought, isn't it? And we should.
Who are those angels?
Who are those angels?
Who are those angels?
They represent states within us, aren't they? They could be literal people, and they will be, but I think they also represent states of awe inside us in the presence of God that we will experience in the presence of God.
But Swedenborg says the angels are
Yes,
the people in heaven.
yes, of course. Yes.
So this makes a very completely different thinking of we think angels means with the wings and all those. But we represent in the heaven as people. That's why our features are all almost the same. So we don't change just because we have gone to heaven. The same features are available there. So we are people. Angels in the heaven,
Yes.
people. So that's a
Possibilities.
representations are amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah, so
That's
I think it's such a sad thing to really that we've been sold that idea that angels are like a separate race, special kind of beings.
yeah.
They're unattainable, and so people
Yeah,
tend to
that's,
defer.
we
Well, I
visualize.
can't do that. So, you know,
These are
they're going to
kids.
help me. They're going to help lift me. You know, I'm going to be served or whatever. But Swedenborg brings no, actually, that's your potential. You know,
This is where you're heading.
this is what you can be. Nobody's going to do it for you.
No.
Yes.
This is the human race. So you know, you got the chance now. So you're responsible for yourself.
That's such a good point, Cor. If you think, you know, an artist does a painting or something, or maybe a poem, but let's just say a painting, it's a picture telling a story. They're capturing some story that they want you to enter into. Every painting is a message, and it's a beautiful way to think of each one of us. Each one of us, by God's plan, are meant to be, potentially are meant to be a finite expression of love and wisdom, a finite expression of good and truth. We each have a message, a story, and that we shine. And if we didn't shine our own unique color, then it all just merges into one big blobbing white light, which is not what God is, you know. And I think why this is important is because if you go to the Greek and New Testament, I'd have to really dig into the Hebrew. You might be able to help me here, Ian, but at least in the New Testament, when it speaks of angels, in the Greek it's angelos, which just means messenger. And we each have a message. We each are some finite message of what is good and what is true. And so it is nothing in the New Testament at all that suggests a separate race. It suggests the messengers of God. That's all angels really are, the messengers of God. The Hebrew
often uses a word which translates Elohim, which means a godly one. Elohim.
But it's plural too, isn't it, Ian? Elohim is plural in the Hebrew.
That is plural in the Hebrew, or godly ones.
Godly ones. The heavenly host.
The heavenly host.
Siobhan wrote a song I sang with her, and I can't remember all the words, but it goes, I thought you had wings and harps and things, sat on a cloud singing quite loud. I never knew that you were my friend, and stay with me right till the end. But now I'm beginning to see you really just like me. And it goes on, but I can't remember the words because it was written for the children in the new church when she was in Sydney.
Yeah.
That's so good.
But it brings it back to, you know,
You wouldn't find that and sing it for us on New Church Day coming up, would you?
I will, yes, definitely. I'll
We set
relearn
in your
the
calendar,
words.
23rd or 21st, I think, of June.
Of June, okay.
Yeah, because
21st.
19th is
Thanks
the
for this
Friday.
intermission.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, but that was great. That's a great little.
It's just because she was reading Swedenborg.
Yes.
So she was just writing what
she was learning.
What she was learning and reading. And
It's on one of those
Mm.
CDs.
Yeah,
it's
it's
not.
very
It was written for children, so I should get it made up as a children's CD because she went in and she's singing on it.
Good.
So it's really special.
Well, in the New Testament, John writes to us and he calls us beloved children. So I think we should enjoy that if you can.
Well, I think when we're in our spirit and in our true self, we are quite childlike. You know, that's because we're in the love, isn't
Yeah,
it?
that's what I meant. Thank you, Jackie. That's what I meant by getting caught up in the moment.
Yes.
Like heaven is the most now you can possibly get. Eternity is always now. And you look at a child when they're engrossed in something.
Yes.
They're right there in the moment.
And time lasts forever. Time goes slowly when you're in the moment. Like it goes on and on and on. But when you're caught up in life, it seems to go really fast as a contrast.
Yeah. So true.
Like thinking back to the days in our childhood when we went to the beach or whatever we did, the days were really long and, you know, you were just in the moment, you know.
That's beautiful. I love it. Wow.
All right. Well, I'd like to make, and that is, talking about dreams. Dreams are also a gateway to the spiritual world.
Nice.
And there are times when I'm absolutely convinced they are spiritual. I've had
completely
spiritual experiences.
Oh, completely.
They're the dreams that have had a big impact on me, or they've been overwhelmingly real to me. Some are bizarre and I can't make, but others are so
tangible
and different.
Yes.
And
they leave a mark,
I remember
don't they?
them so
Yes.
clearly. I think, no, that wasn't one of these sort of dreams that flits out of your mind.
There's usually a message there too.
Yeah, it's like they leave imprints, don't they?
Now that Jackie's here, I should just share something else. I hope it's not too self-indulgent. But when Jackie was with me in the hospital on a very bad day, and I was very low.
The doctors were very worried.
Yeah,
that
and then I sort of became aware that there were things beyond what was going on around.
Other world was breaking through.
Yes.
Veil
I
was thin.
started to see things.
Mm.
I was aware of Jackie because Jackie was helping keep my mouth moist and things like that, but it had gone beyond the external room I was in the hospital. Yeah. So what I think I'm saying is that there are occasions, either dreaming is one, and I think when you're in some sort of extremity or extreme situation, there's another when you seem to have a door opened into the spiritual world.
Beautiful.
You saw Margaret, did you?
I did.
Mm.
Yeah, she was sitting on she was sitting on a park bench.
Oh, no yellow car.
Not yet.
Oh, okay, that would have been early.
So I know
So you're still saving up for it.
as long as I don't see the yellow car, I know I'm not dead yet.
Look for the glow around the wheels.
The
glow around the yellow car
my
wheels.
time, she's in the last few days, she said to me, "Now look, when you see me arrive in my little yellow car to pick you up, you'll know you've passed over."
Oh,
So
Wow.
I keep a little yellow car on the dressing table in front of her photograph.
Oh.
So that I know that when the little yellow car turns up, I won't have to worry about where I am.
The question whether you crossed over or not. That's fascinating.
You don't freak out, when you're in an Uber, there's a yellow car driver next to you.
Well, I think about it, buddy.
I think there's a scientific fact that embraces this concept. When my wife also used to have a red car,
Yes,
and that car can speak her language to me.
yes.
She was so much attached. The scientific reason for this is when we sit and travel continuously, or possess a product, the molecules in our body gets dropped down and occupies the space.
Yeah.
So those molecules are like solar system, they communicate. So
Wow.
the remembrance of the person will come flash across you because the entire environment is crowded with the molecules of the person who
Entanglement.
was using that. Yeah.
Wow.
And if we can connect spiritually to that, you'll
Yeah.
find that you are dialoguing or you're speaking. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that has a lot of profound truth. And when Ian can speak to the car, I think he is speaking to his wife.
Yes.
So this is spiritual because the spirit doesn't die. It's there somewhere. But how do you connect?
Yeah.
So it should become a spiritual person. Then I think the communication will get established.
Mm.
So instruments are objects by
Yes.
which there's in India millions of gods because they're objects.
Yeah.
But people speak through the object. And
Yes.
then the spirit automatically gets transferred.
Yes,
And
yes, and that's that association, isn't it?
Exactly,
Yes.
yeah.
We're often impressed. We're often impressed by people's experience of the spiritual world when it's visual. Like our eyes are a big thing. We'll go back to the dream idea. You're in the dream. You know you're dreaming, but you don't necessarily know. You're not aware of your body in the bed. You just know you're not, are you?
No way.
And
No.
yeah, Swinmore tells
I'm
us
in the dream.
you're in the
That's
dream.
it.
Swinmore tells us
in bed when you're
Yeah.
driving a car up a wall.
that was fun. Okay, so we're here right now,
Yeah.
but we're in our spiritual bed, so to speak, as
Yes.
well. Right now, this very
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
And our senses are so powerful. This is why in the Garden of Eden story, the snake is the one that comes up and deceives Adam and Eve, because the snake represents our sensual life, our senses. It's so convincing. Surely this is the way to go. And it's so important to remind ourselves that we are more than, I like to tell myself I have 10 senses, not 5 or 6, because I have smelt angels at times. And one of the things we can learn to do, I think this is more easier than we realize. We may not see that veil. You were seeing the veil very thin, Ian, in that moment. We're seeing it. But if we're a little more intuitive, it's actually a lot easier to feel heaven than we realize. Feeling heaven's not hard. And I think that helps to me. I want to carry that sense of awe, a little bit of excitement, Like I think peace is excitement turned up, and joy is excitement, is peace turned up. Peace is joy turned down. So peace and joy are we'll experience a lot of that in heaven, peace and joy. And I think it's important that we try to carry that through the day with us. So we're actually are more aware, we're feeling heaven, even though we may not be seeing it. And I think that's just my thoughts. It's a beautiful way to carry, and one of the best ways to feel heaven is to find opportunities to love on people. Be kind to them, hey, Paul.
Be kind, yeah.
Be kind, just love on people.
If I'm feeling a bit stressed or whatever,
Oof.
I was working away on my couch the other day, and I just looked up, and there, right in front of me, had walked in a magpie, in, ready to ask for, wanted some cheese. And it does come in occasionally, but it hadn't for a long time. And straight away, I got a bit of a shock, but you can't be too shocked or you'd scare it. So straight away, I went into heaven inside me, from being here and, worried or whatever. I went into heaven in my heart, and I could say hello, and you can feel the change, which is what you're saying.
Wow.
Feel
yes.
and I felt the change from where I'd been a moment before to what this beautiful black and white spiritual thought representation correspondence, is it? To being right in front of me, and it'd been sent in. It's been sent in to get me out of my mire of my head.
Oh, wow.
Birds are so good, aren't they? The way they respond.
Yes.
So thank you. That's awesome. That segues really nicely back into this paragraph. The Lord in his mercy allows us to continue in our concerns. But then gradually he magpies us. Or, whatever analogy you want. Gradually he kind of says, don't forget, you're a spirit. You're here now. It's time to let go and move on.
Yeah.
And that's why this conversation that you and I and Steve were having was really interesting, because Steve was taking the position we'll always be able to recognize ourselves and each other. And I don't disagree with that. But Ian was saying, oh no, I read this passage. We're going to change so much. We won't recognize who we were in the world. And I couldn't think of a better analogy, Ian. We do not look like we did when we were children.
No.
But we can see something of the child in us still.
Exactly.
And our loved ones, love us, even though we don't look the child anymore. I think that's what's going to happen in the spiritual world and into heaven. Yeah. We'll change into our true loves. And so we won't look exactly like we did on earth, but we'll be recognizable.
They won't see us through the prism of our external life either.
Right.
For, I mentioned in that conversation with you and Steve David, that, the passage I read, I for some reason instantly thought of the late Queen Elizabeth II.
Right.
And the passage really said to me, no, she's not going to think of herself as Queen Elizabeth II.
No.
That identity will be there if it's needed, but she can't stay with it because she needs to move on as a.
But you can see that it's a good example, because you can see the mercy there.
Yeah.
When that has been her identity since she was a young married woman.
Right, that's right.
You don't just strip all of that away. No. You've got to let that go. Yeah. And that would be a burden lifted in some ways, wouldn't it?
Well, it would be. But I sort of see that even in this realm here, like in the physical realm, that we are sifting and sorting on that identity of identifying ourselves with some role or whatever that means or looks like, to be able to let go and say, well, no, that's not who you are.
This is the work we must do, isn't it?
That's it.
This is the work we've got to do.
Yeah, but we slip back into them roles,
Well, the dream grabs you again. Well, the dream grabs you again, and you forget, I'm not the ego. I'm not this dream. Wonderful stuff.
That's what happens when we die. The garment drops off. The external features all gets dropped off.
Right.
So what is released when we die is only the spirit. The spirit has no garments, no limbs, nothing of that, but it is just a form of a body. We represent as it is, but without the dresses, without those attachments, no crown. So Queen Elizabeth cannot recognize her crown there because she is a original person, normal. as good as a divine. So this is what happens when you go to a spiritual world. So we need to recognize that and see that when we go there, there are no identities other than
The spirit.
the spirit.
But West Wimble does help us understand too what our spirit really is. It is love and affection.
Love and
It is desire.
affection.
And so we do get garments, appearances. Even heaven is an appearance. But we we drop the old and become the spirit, and then that spirit in its purified state is then ready to put on the new representations of those loves. Yeah, so we do get to
I'd
have.
like to make a small adjustment to that instead of
Yep.
saying, "Oh, we become the spirit." We are already the spirit.
We're
No.
already a spirit.
Right, but it's asleep or smothered or
No.
No?
It's just that our awareness or understanding, like we're buying into this physicality, right?
Mhm.
Which gives us the opportunity to get an individualized, personal, self-referencing identity, right? So that gives us our sense of self,
Right.
which is the grace of God saying, "Look, you're my child," right?
Exist.
Exist, yeah, exactly. And as we learn and over time that the nature of what reality is, it readies us for the next level impact of seeing the much more direct effects around us of what we create through our being.
Our spirit.
Yeah, we are already a spirit.
That's what I'm saying. I'm
But
agreeing.
but
I'm
even
agreeing
then,
with
it's
you.
not that direct. It's a slow, gradual kind of thing, right?
That's what I mean by smothered.
Yeah.
Smothered or asleep. It's got to be
Yeah.
wakened up.
Yeah, but
gradually.
it's what I'm saying, and the reason why I'm kind of jumping in here a little bit because it's this idea that you know we we are two separate things
No.
in one,
No, we're not.
but we're not,
No.
right? So when we talk in that language, it's like we move from this to this, but it's not really the case. We're one thing, and it's just a mirror that shifts. Like it's like the angle of our reflection that kind of shifts, but it's still us.
Well, I think Dr. Knoll's analogy was really good. You get in a car, and to keep you safe, there's almost like a molecular transfer. You put on the car, and you're very aware of where that car is, where its boundaries are, what it might touch or not touch, and you move around. But this is Vedic literatures now. They talk about chariots, and then the real self takes and drops the car and gets out. It was always us. We were always ourselves. But we've stopped over-identifying with the layers of. But we need those for this world. If you're not getting in the car and being sensitive of the boundaries of the car, well, you're going to have a very unpleasant experience driving.
That's right.
You see, Jesus, when after resurrection, he appeared to Thomas. He didn't appear in a spirit form. He appeared in a physical form. Touch me and see whether there is pain. There is a thorn here.
Yes.
So when we are in the world, we need to be physical. But in the spiritual world, we can't be physical. So this transformation of physical to spiritual is the heaven world. So once we understand this, I think all of us can come back to earth if you want to reveal to somebody in a physical form. See, many people are surprised. They see a person as it is, but then they disappear. After the incident is over, after the accident is over, they disappear. From where they come and how they help some of the accident scenarios, this is just amazing. There are a lot of references to this, how the miraculous escape come from an accident scenario. I think every evangelist has got some stories to tell this. Yes, suddenly somebody came, delivered the foods, or did something, healed them, and then disappeared. They look around, but they are not there.
True.
So this
I've actually had that happen. Going on a walk, and there's
That's
a person
amazing,
walking there, and I hadn't. I'm slowly catching up, and then I'm there, and there's nowhere for them to have gone. But then all of a sudden they've gone. They can't have gone anywhere.
Yeah.
I've heard of people hitchhiking. They pick up a hitchhiker and that happens. They pick up a hitchhiker and the hitchhiker then begins to talk about Jesus. And then they turn around and the hitchhiker's gone.
Wow.
Disappeared. It happens quite a lot. You can find real stories of that. Yeah. Fascinating. Would you read for us, Dr. Knoll? And then we'll come around this way. We'll get a few more paragraphs done. Told you we could hang on this one paragraph.
On one paragraph.
Well, it was a good one, because it's a key thing that I think as new church people, we need to understand the Lord's mercy to let us carry our states for a while before we are just stripped of them. It would be too traumatic to just be stripped of all your old sense of self too fast.
Since this is what we are like as spirits immediately after our life in the world, our friends and people we have known in the world then recognize us. Spirits perceive who we are not only from our faces and voices, but also from the aura of our life when they come near. So, in the other life, whenever we think about someone, we call up that individual's face in our thought, along with many details about her or his life. And when we do this, the other is called to us. Things like this happen in the spiritual world because thoughts are shared there and because space is not what it is in the natural world. This is why, as soon as we arrive in the other life, we are all recognized by our friends and relatives and by people we have known in one way or the other. Further, we talk with each other and continue to see each other in keeping with our friendship in the world. I have heard many people who had just come from the world overjoyed to see their friends again, and their friends overjoyed that they had arrived.
Wow.
This is something fantastic. Yeah.
Isn't it fantastic? Good reading, Dr. Dole.
Yeah.
I should get you to keep reading. We'll get through the book if we.
I love it. Yeah.
I'm not in a hurry. Any comments or thoughts on that idea?
The conversation can begin before people leave this world.
Nice. Should begin. Should begin.
I've been there when it has been happening. People have been in their last part of their life in this world, last hours usually. They've been talking quite happily to their friends who have predeceased them.
Crossed over.
Yeah. I've known that. I've seen it. I've been there.
It makes the transition easier.
It does. Yes.
It's a great secret. I think if you reveal this message to people who are about to die or elderly people, the hope comes very differently.
Yes.
If I can imagine, I can go and see my wife there.
Exactly.
What an excitement that would be.
Exactly.
Because 8 years I've been suffering without my wife, and I'm going to go and see her and talk to her. That joy cannot be described at all. So this message, we have just put this thought into minds of the people.
Yes.
Whoever is, without a hope and nobody is there, I'm lonely. I think if you can give this message to them, don't worry. I think your wife has not gone anywhere. Your husband has not gone anywhere. They're all there. But you need to go there. You have to travel.
Yeah.
Catch up a flight and then go travel. Like, yeah.
They mightn't be in your dream at the moment,
Yeah,
but they're there when you wake up.
exactly. Yeah. You can see.
That's good. Go on, Dr. I'll take it. Anyone else? Any other thoughts or ideas? No? Go on, Dr. I'll give us a bit more.
It often happens that married partners meet and welcome each other joyfully. Oh, that's interesting. They stay together as well, but for a longer or shorter time, depending on how happily they had lived together in the world. So ultimately, unless they had been united by real marriage love, which is a union of minds from heavenly love, they separate after having been together for a while. So if the minds of the partners disagreed, however, and if they were inwardly repellent to each other, they break out into open hostility and sometimes actually fight with each other. Still, they are not separated until they enter the second stage, which will be described shortly.
Oh, I'm going to make a comment there because not mentioning any names or anything, but just talking to another minister, and he was really quite bothered by going over and visiting a married couple who then decided to break out and have a fight right in front of him. And he thought, well, couldn't you just, I'm visiting, just not have the fight
Put on a front.
but this is the Lord. This could be really troublesome for a lot of fundamental Christian thinking people. What do you mean? Or you could stay together, or you might not. They've been really troubled by that. But the Lord is peace, And if people can't get on, they can't get on.
Internally, like they in here,
Internally
they
or
can put
externally,
on
but
a
yes,
front.
internally particularly.
Yeah, because here they can put on a front.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like when other people are around, supposedly when a minister is visiting,
Yeah. You'd think that they would have.
put on the external front, but
Yes.
there you can't, because the internal is what you can't.
Well
hide
said.
that.
Everything
Yeah.
must be true to itself. That's what makes the light of heaven so real, is that everything must be true to itself.
One of the things that, because obviously these are pretty pertinent to me right now.
Oh, yes.
And so, for me, it's like, I've been married for 30 years. And obviously I was fairly young as well, and the growing and everything only just started as a part of that relationship.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so it's, for me, kind of discovering, well, who am I?
Yeah.
Like outside of that connection. And the thing that I'm kind of realizing, that you don't necessarily realize when you're in a relationship is, well, how much do you own who you are, and how much is you just reacting part of the partnership, duties,
Yeah.
the commitments,
Yeah.
the compromises, all of that, which is normal life.
Normal life. Well said.
And it's, you willingly enter into that, but you don't necessarily understand how much of that is actually you or whatever. So it's very tricky.
It's a process.
To really know, right? And so, yeah, for me, I'm kind of learning that at the moment. I go like, well, yeah, there's so many people in relationships,
Yes.
where I'd like to say it's not really the right term to say, but I haven't really got better words to describe it. But you're kind of taking each other a little bit for granted,
For sure. For sure.
You're there all the time. You're there supporting each other all the time. You've got a little, maybe a few things of your own or whatever else, but it's always referencing against each other.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
an autopilot.
It's autopilot, and it's like, especially when you have kids and work and all of that, is like, 14 hours a day is completely absorbed. But then how much time do you get for yourself separately,
Be authentic.
to develop your true understanding of who you are,
Yep.
and then bring that back to the table, and then connect with each other as authentic, integral, separate identities,
And what
well as the connection.
What makes it tricky, Cole, is that we were created for others. That's what makes it tricky. My reason for existing is for others.
Yeah.
So we kind of need these relationships to bring out of us
There's a dichotomy in that,
our
isn't
gift.
100%.
But you don't want it to be forced. You don't want it to be bringing something out of you that isn't authentic and isn't real, which is often what can happen in marriages. It can be bringing out the wrong things. But this is why we are so blessed. Thank you, Lord, we're so blessed, because every little light we get from the word or the writings, the fact that it's real light, it doesn't just speak to one area of my life. It kind of throws light into everything, including our marriages, including, and I think that as new church people, we of all people should be working on our marriages more than, or just our relationships and friendships with family and each other, because we're getting this light to say, well, am I being authentic here? Or am I just reacting? And am I spending my life reacting, or am I finding true charity, which can only come out of free will and rationality? It's deep stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. It's very tricky, because it takes a lot of awareness.
And changes of lifestyle too. So you're going through a big change of.
Do I really like this? I mean, how do I really feel about this?
Just because we've done this every Friday night.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, exactly.
But also, Darren, it says, which is a union of minds.
Where was that done?
On page 27, it says, the marriages that do stay together, they're a union of
27?
minds. Page 27 on the bottom,
27.
5 lines up.
Oh yeah. Okay, we turned the page.
Minds from heaven.
It often
And I
happens.
think, why minds? Because you sort of think you've really got to have that space in you for your mind to think on what it wants to think on, rather than what it has to think on. Is that what it like? Why mind?
Well, it's like a Venn diagram, right? That's how I look at it. Is that it is? There are two separate
but it's
individuals,
very much overlapping.
but because you're really joining
Yeah.
voluntarily.
Yeah.
there's a natural entanglement and union that joins you into one,
Yes.
Attraction.
but it's not an automatic thing, or it's take it for granted, or this is what we've always done,
Yeah.
which is what can happen in this world,
Mhm.
and it looks from the outside like it's really like this,
Mhm.
but it's like more, well, a joining part.
Autopilot.
Yeah.
But in the next world, like that true joining of the mind, which is impossible for us to really know because it's so difficult, but it's about really, you your authentic self, your authentic self, and then there's that overlap, right?
And do they overlap in the spiritual?
Yeah. And
So-
that's the becoming
So
one.
the word
How
mind
I see
there
it.
is being used in its biggest sense. That's my sense of it. Ian, what about you? The word, we're not just talking intellectual, we're talking the mind being
The whole being. Yeah.
your
Mind
inner
is the
being,
spirit.
Yeah.
So
Your-
your loves.
your love.
really-
The mind is actually love. Because love as a spiritual component, we always misunderstand. Particularly in marriage, we think the physical union is what is marriage or love. But that's not love. The love is spiritual,
Mm.
which is, no, I think the mind is not the right word. The right word is love.
Yeah.
Because love is
Yes.
spiritual.
There you go.
When we are really loving, we are not separated. So the death doesn't separate.
Mm.
If only there is a genuine true love.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
so
that
let's read
love is
that.
the gift from God.
Yeah,
Yes.
we tend to associate mind with brain, right?
Ah,
Exactly.
exactly.
And
That is the
that's how the
confusion.
world confuses things. But
Fully agree.
Swedenborg is unequivocal that mind and spirit is one and the same thing.
Exactly.
And the
Yes.
spirit is love and
Yes.
understanding.
Okay,
Yes,
so
yes,
let's
that's the
read that in
confusion,
there, what
yeah.
Dr. Knoll's saying. Ultimately, unless they, the married couple, had been united by real marriage love,
Yes.
which is a union of loves from heavenly love.
Ah,
That-
yes.
Does that make
yeah,
a lot more sense here?
Absolutely.
A
yeah.
union of loves
Yes.
from heavenly love. That's
Heavenly
what
love,
makes.
yeah.
Were you okay with that, Ian? Is that-
Yeah.
Because it's a good way of opening that word up and stop, the Western intellectual idea of mind is very stale and
Yeah.
stagnant.
Yeah.
Excellent, Ray. That was good. Where were we up to?
I'm impatient.
One more paragraph.
You want to read another one?
Yeah,
Well, unless
okay.
Jackie's getting
Yeah.
keen to read. Dr. Knoll's doing a great job.
Says the life of newly married spirits, newly arrived spirits, is not unlike their life in the world, and since they do not know anything about life after death, heaven or hell, except what they have learned from the literal meaning of the word and some sermons drawn from it. Once they get over their astonishment at being in a body and enjoying all the senses they had in the world, seeing familiar things around them, they find themselves wanting to know what heaven and hell are like and where they are. Consequently, their friends tell them about the state of eternal life and take them around to various places into the company of different people. They go to different cities, to gardens and parks. Then, from time to time, they are led into the thoughts they had during their physical lives about the state of the soul after death and about heaven and hell. This brings them to the point of resentment that they had been so ignorant about such matters, and also that the church had been so.
Oh, my seat's getting all hot at the moment. Sorry.
Thank heavens we're with the right church.
I'll jump in there and say one thing that came to me as we were reading that is that the experience of that person would be a flow. Oh, we'll go to this park, we'll go over here to this building. Let me show you what this library is like. But the masterful servants that these angelic, heavenly people are, our friends who've gone before us, they'll being led. They'll have been led by the Lord to go, come check out this library, knowing that as you see some heavenly library, it will trigger perhaps a deeper memory from this world and begin a process of healing or release or something that may be caught up in that person's psyche. So it seems rather, oh, what an exciting adventure. Let's go and look around. But there's a real careful plan, I believe, Ian, is that a careful plan to help release this person from their past and bring them into their true selves.
Yeah.
So release them from the worldly connection because they're still quite connected to it, having just.
Well, we're affection, right? Our spirit is love, right?
Yeah.
and see how the resentment was being brought up.
Mm.
That's a strong emotion, a strong love, affection or feeling. It has to be brought to the surface and dealt with because, I might end up finding a lot of people have unforgiveness towards me because I didn't tell them something well enough or do my job properly enough, vice versa. You know what I mean? It's amazing. Um, this is fairly common, I think, too. My sense of it is that even the most churchy people could go there and find out it is not like I was told,
Right.
and so we got to, the Lord's got to deal with those things. It's so important that we do it now, isn't it?
Yes,
Let the
yeah, and I
unforgiveness
think
go now.
resentment is one of those things because resentment can be something that people can have in there for 20 years
Oh,
and be completely in denial about it
oh,
until they actually take a look at it and go, did I have some resentment there? Who was I resentful with? So
and
making lists of all the people that they're resentful with and being honest about that can be a really good thing for people.
and what's fascinating from a psychological point of view
Yeah.
is that when we're in a state of fear, hopefully none of us are, but we get into a state of fear, ordinary events will cause you more fear. It
Trigger
spills over.
what's in.
What's that?
They trigger what's already in you.
Yeah, and you get even more fearful. Getting in a car suddenly causes you a phobia, or going to a shopping center, or being around people because you haven't gone and dealt with something that's 20 years buried in there.
Yeah.
And the same with anger, or any of these negative emotions. So you've got this resentment, and they don't even know that it's actually affecting every area and every experience they're having.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that they're filtering everyone through this resentment instead of being able to love them and just be charitable or kind.
So there's lots of cover-ups. People will use coping mechanisms to just sort of cope with whatever. But really, you can always think if if you get triggered somewhere, there'll be a bit of resentment lying in there somewhere. One of the threads might contain that.
Now, why
There
would
might
we
be
do
other
this? Why would we spend 20 years hiding from something like resentment? And the only thought I can possibly have is because we're getting something out of it. Maybe it's energizing us. Maybe if we weren't holding on to resentment, we'd find ourselves just being miserably lazy. And so it's working for us. It's not great, but it's doing something for us. And we need to learn to be better. We've got to learn to overcome our issues rather than use resentment and then clothe over it, but use it as an energy source or some way of motivating.
Well, that's what people will do. They'll use lots of masks. Like you said, when you say, couldn't they at least been good when the minister came in? Don't show your true self.
Well, at least they were honest. At least
they were honest. Exactly. They showed their resentment with each other.
I'll tell that minister that when I see them next. Wasn't me, but I'll tell them who it was. Yes.
And all through the New Testament, forgiveness is so important.
So important.
So of course, that would be the attack on humans that evil spirits would make.
Yeah.
Of course. I like to tell myself, Renee, forgiveness has the word giving in it. Forgiveness is forgiving.
Yeah.
So if I don't learn forgiveness, I'm not being the gift. I'm not giving. I'm taking. Yeah. And that's all the Lord wants us. He's not wanting us to become doormats and let people walk all over us. But he's wanting us.
Then we'll get resentment with ourselves.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but he's wanting us to release whatever is stopping us from being the gift and giving the gift of who we are. So forgiving is for giving.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
We quickly forgive. It's something that we
so we don't block ourselves. Yeah, so we don't block ourselves.
We're walking in it.
Who was it, Ian, who said unforgiveness is the only poison that you swallow thinking you're going to hurt someone else?
Yes.
Someone like a C.S. Lewis said that very wisely, Very, very wise. Well, should we let Jackie do one last reading for us and then we'll... Dr. Knoll did so well, got us through 2.5 pages or something.
Where are we up to?
Almost all.
The first stage?
No, almost all.
Almost, thank you. Almost all of them want to know whether they will make it into heaven. Many of them think they will because they led moral and civic lives in the world, not reflecting that both evil and good people lead similar outward lives, being similarly helpful to others, going to church, listening to sermons, and praying similarly, utterly unaware that outward behavior and outward worship accomplish nothing whatsoever. Only the inner realities that give rise to these outward ones are effective. Scarcely one in thousands even knows what the inner realities are, or that they are the focal point of heaven and the church for us. Even fewer realize that the quality of our outward actions is determined by the quality of our intentions and thoughts and the love and faith within them, from which our actions arise. Even when they are told, they do not grasp the fact that thinking and intending actually make a difference. They attach importance only to speaking and acting. Many of the people who are coming into the other life from the Christian world are like this nowadays.
Well, I'm just always marveling at what the Lord does, because it just turned out that the sermon I had to do last week was sincerity, and the way he threads it together. Because I'm reading here, I could have just read this paragraph from the writings and sent you home instead of doing a sermon on sincerity, and it probably would have been better. But but this is capturing what I was trying to say last week. That true sincerity can only begin with seeing that I'm not everything I hope to be yet. And just be that be broken before the Lord, be the tax collector that says, "Oh Lord, I'm not perfect." And the Lord says, "That's okay. I can work with that."
Yes.
Because now you're seeing. What does it say here again? Many of them think that because no, where is it? Worshipping. Last line on page 28. Scarcely one in 1,000 even know what inner realities are, or that they are the focal point of heaven and the church for us. So more important to the Lord than what I'm saying and doing is what am I thinking and feeling, and are they one? And that's where real sincerity, I believe, the virtue of sincerity comes to light, because that's the authenticity we need, the real authentic. If we're going to be spiritual people, we've got to be authentic. Yeah. Anyway, that's my bit. Any other thoughts on that incredible paragraph that you just read?
Sincerity comes from the heart.
From the
It
heart,
doesn't come
from the head.
That's
So the moment you distinguish this, is a completely different world, and we are really, really sincere.
Yeah.
But many are not, because the world doesn't allow you to be sincere and honest and truthful.
Punishes you for it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think even recognizing that in yourself can
Yes.
be tricky.
Yes,
Like
absolutely.
asking for something in a prayer, and I'm going to myself, are you sincere in that when you're asking? I'm sort of still wanting to hang on to that, but I'm still wanting the Lord to do something over there.
Oh, that's so deep. That's very important.
It is, isn't it? But again, it's that being aware of yourself and being honest.
That's sincere. That's the beginning of real
where
sincerity.
it says to God, well, I do want to change this,
Yes.
but somewhere, it's that claw mark where you're still hanging on.
Let me change too, Lord, as I pray for this to change.
Yeah.
Changes. Let me change as well.
Exactly.
Yes, Jackie, what were you going to say?
I've forgotten, sorry.
No, you don't forget. Come back.
What were we saying?
Oh, that paragraph was an amazing paragraph you just read.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Like one in thousands.
Ah,
That struck me. That,
Yeah.
and it is, to be aware and self-analyzing.
a healthy
A
self-analysis.
healthy self-analysis, a spiritual self-analysis,
Yes,
spiritually based,
not a
heavenly
hellish, but a
based,
heavenly self-analysis.
in order to forward ourselves spiritually in our lives. Um, you know, we use the word awake a lot, but you've got to be spiritually awake and so self-responsible. And so many people in the world today are just not looking at themselves and being self-responsible for things. It's a lot of blame out there.
You made me do it. You made me feel this way. You caused me to do these things.
Yes. Whereas, as you read, no one can make you feel a way unless it's already inside you and they've triggered it and it comes out. And so, I learned sort of not that long ago, when someone is reacting to me in a strong way, I now know it's got nothing to do with me.
You just mirrored something in them that they needed to see.
Yeah, but chances are they won't be able to look at that because one in thousands don't want to or have the capacity.
This is where the merry-go-round comes in.
Yeah.
They will go round that and round it again
because
and
it's
again.
an uncomfortability for them, isn't it?
Yes.
If you're a trigger to them and they see something in you, but it is about them. It's inside of them that they're doing that.
Because otherwise
they'll move away from you because you're now the trigger and you're the uncomfortable
Yeah. Well said.
sort of person.
It's all your fault, but you were just the trigger.
That's it. That's it.
Wow.
Hence, then when relationships and divisions and all that sort of stuff comes up,
It's all good stuff, though. We wouldn't
Yeah,
have
it
anything
is.
to regenerate with if we didn't have this sort of stuff
Mm.
to let's close in prayer. Thank you. I was kind of let you sit. Are you? I'll let Ian go. Okay. Lord, we are just so thankful for what you brought up today. Just such incredible gifts that we can now remember this throughout our week ahead, to be more sincere people, to not be afraid of the process of coming to you, trusting your plan, and learning to be excited about all the good things you have for us, to be all the gifts that you want us to forgive to others. We ask that we remember these things and just be very aware of you in all that we do. Amen.
Amen. Beautiful. Thank you,
Yeah.
everyone.
Great session.
Yes.
Great stuff. I love it when we get. I love it when a plan comes together.
It hurts. What is this around your neck?
I love it when a plan comes together.
Yes, but they
Isn't it interesting
stay
how
there.
Really, when you've been away,
Is it wireless?
notice how much you miss
Bit
it.
missed you.
Exactly.
Well, me, Sharon.
Yeah, wireless.
Get me up, Sharon. But
I'll give you my.
Yeah.
This in the book I've written or presentation.
Introduction to chapter 1 unfold. Yeah, make it in. I do that. She'll come out and maybe you're all right. The very last, the first day, last 2 days or something. Oh, wow.
I'm sorry.